show us, I think, was very impressive as well. So I think that they were a great selection.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Joan. So Kelly and I serve on the Peasley Building Committee.
Oh, that's right.
And we, neither of us were available to do this giant task.
During the middle of a school day, yeah.
Exactly. So I do really appreciate it because it is a lot of work, and you've been to now 2 meetings now, and a lot of work went into this. So thank you, because I'm tired just looking at all of this.
I'm looking at that stack of paper and thinking, John loves a good stack of paper.
I love a good stack of paper. I mean, I went through it and I said to Becky, I don't even understand some of these things. You know what I mean? But I couldn't talk to her about it, but we could share our feelings going into this, and, sometimes the frustrations that came with it. But it's almost like it was a term paper. I think I came in as a novice, and at times I felt like I was doing the test, but I never studied for it. But at the end, I think we got to a good conclusion, and just one that I think is going to work well with administration and the building committee, and I hope that it works out really good. I hope it really does. But it was, I don't want to say it was an honor, but I guess because I'm retired, I thought, if I was still teaching, I wouldn't be able to do this. So you gave me work to do, but
Well,
it
thank you,
was
Jen.
great. I learned something new.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Okay, Z School roof project update.
Keith. Okay. I'm assisting with some minutes at the moment until we can get back up and running, but
Okay.
let me go to that part and we'll be ready to go.
Would you like someone to do an audio record? You're doing that? Okay.
Yeah, Patrick, are we close? We're live. Bingo. All right, I'm off the hook.
You're off.
1 second, Greg.
Thanks, Ray. Yes, so we continue to be engaged not only with our project manager, but also the architects for the Z School Accelerated Repair Program. They are deep into the estimate phase of that. We've gotten some preliminary estimates on where they are, and they've had to go back and have further discussions. So I am optimistic that we will have something more formidable to share, probably early next month is what we're aiming for. We did ask the MSBA for an extension to allow us a little more time to evaluate, which I guess is being commonly done for many districts because they're trying to get it right with a lot of the undulations in the marketplace. But yeah, we're dialing in. I feel very good that we're being supported well. I think it's important that my questions are being answered. We've asked them for options so we can make sure we have something to share and review before we get to that final number, which will be requested. So I feel they're doing a good job. I'm also confident that they've done a really comprehensive job of looking at the conditions at Z. That's one thing I did learn in the last couple of weeks, that they really were peeling things back and looking under in different places of the building to make sure that they were getting it correct structurally, and then obviously what they would be recommending going forward. So I should have something more formidable in the next few weeks.
Any concern about getting that to the town in time for warrants?
No, I don't, because it's got to align with the MSBA timeline, which
Okay.
would be in line with the town's
With
timeline.
the town's,
So I feel we're in good shape, and as soon as we have something more, we'll not only be sharing it with you, but also with the town in preparation for town meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, superintendent's report to the committee.
So in your packet, you have the enrollment report as of October 16th, 2025, and you'll notice that we do have many of our classrooms at the ceiling of our class size policy, so we're monitoring that. We also received the fall 25 NESDEC enrollment projection report, which is also a very important document as we move through the budget process. One note is that if you look at the data and projections for the next 10 years, so 2025 to 2026 to 2035 to 2036, we're very stable in our enrollment projections. We'll see an increase of enrollment of 1.5%, so about 30 students. So obviously that's projection, and that's if nothing changes, but it does allow us to kind of project outward, especially when we have a project coming forth, to really make sure that it's the right size building that will serve the community for years to come.
Can I ask a quick question on
Yep.
that? It may be insignificant, but why do you think there's an estimate at the state level versus your locale estimate?
I think that I think when you look at our current enrollments and NASDAQ's projections, the closer NASDAQ projections are in terms of years to the current year, the more accurate they are. So if you look at, 26, 27, 27, 28, they're accurate. When you start looking at the outward years,
That's
you can
where
see
the
some
variances
variability.
start to,
But even then, we're not seeing a lot of variance from our projections to NASDAQ's projections. Our number of financial reports, so I'll turn it over to Becky.
So the first one is the budget line item transfer report. Just to note that there are 3 new accounts since last month's meeting that are now showing as overexpended. The first is the about with a number of communication initiatives. The second is health services, and this is due to the appointment of a new district-wide float nurse. So we have hired someone who will be on staff versus relying on some of our day-to-day substitutes. So we are anticipating that this hire will reduce the substitute line item. However, it's hard to tell at this point in time what impact that will have. So we do have both of those lines encumbered. And then the third is technology special education. And this is due to the fact that when we were budgeting for the FY26 budget, the special education team included software in their supplies line item as opposed to the technology line item. So that money is accounted for in their supplies line item, and so we have reserved those funds. So there was a home for those. We're just making sure that they are fully coded, or correctly coded for when we submit our end-of-year report. And I'm going to go on to the next report, which is the monthly general fund report, which is as of October 31st, 2025. You can see that we do have a bottom line balance of $547,100, 1.82% of the total operational budget. It is a slight decrease of about $124,000 since the prior months. We have really refined a lot of our encumbrances, and we are looking at things line by line. And so I really have no concerns with the Northborough budget at this point in time. And I think we're in a good place, especially compared to prior fiscal years.
that's great. I'll take questions before asking for a motion. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve the FY26 budget line item transfers as well as the FY26 monthly general fund expenditure report.
So moved.
As of,
October 31st.
not today,
October 31st.
as of October 31st, 2025,
Until audited.
until audited.
I will,
Everybody?
I will approve that motion as it's been amended.
Second.
Moved by Joan, second by Kristen. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you.
And Becky will continue with approval of FY26 budget.
Okay, so also included in your packet is a spreadsheet that does show all of the federal and state grants that we did see a slight increase in the total numbers. It's about a $47,000 difference compared to FY '25 as it relates to the federal funds that are at the top of this spreadsheet. And so what I am asking the committee to do is take a look at these and then also to approve all of these grants. We do this on an annual basis, and it is, we do this to comply with federal requirements that the committee accept all grants, both state and federal grant funding.
Okay.
Now I have a question. So all of those, the grant type that are federal, are actually funded by the federal government, right? Not just a program in the federal government that comes through the state.
It comes through the state, but it is coming through federal funds, yes.
Has there been any updates on when that is? Is the money here? Have we not, like, any updates in the last 6 months, whatever?
So we have been told that these funds are already in the state's hands. What the federal government does is their fiscal year runs in October to September 30th, so it is different than our fiscal year. So last year, when they were approving the FY '25 budget, they were approving it for what would have been our fiscal year '26. So those funds had already been approved and allocated for a July 1st start date. What still remains to be seen is what will happen next year. I think the three funds that we're really looking at are the Title III, the Title II, and then the Title IV funds. We have heard that those may not continue next year. We've also heard that some of the grants may be bundled into one larger federal grant. So we're really operating with the federal landscape that we do not know for FY '27 what those funds will look like. And that is actually part of the budget conversation tonight, so.
But you're feeling pretty confident about FY '26?
Yes, yes, those funds have been allocated.
So you're looking for an approval tonight?
Yes.
Are you looking for us to read every single one?
No.
That's what I was
Okay.
about to.
No, I think if you.
You want to take, so I can accept a motion for approval of the FY '26 grants as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Lauren, second by Kristen. She's got the second, or Kelly?
Oh, it was Joan and I at the same time.
Second by Kristen. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is the FY '27 through FY '32 draft capital plan. So this was brought to our capital planning subcommittee. It was also brought to our last school committee meeting for review. So we're hoping for approval this evening. Again, this is an important step in terms of preparing for town meeting, getting articles prepared and ready, and having conversations with the town of Southborough. We do have a capital planning meeting with the town of Northborough, I believe, next week. 18th, 2 weeks, to present this plan to them.
Okay. Are there any, after further review, any questions or concerns from the committee? Okay, then I will accept a motion to approve the FY '27 through FY '32 draft capital plan as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Joan, second by Kristen. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Also included is the FY '27 budget priorities. Again, the school committee did review budget priorities, provided feedback and input, and the goal is to have these voted this evening, as they are also important goals to drive the budget process for FY '27.
And this is a little just kind of like honorary, right? Like we don't, this is a thing that we are committing ourselves to, and as a committee, we vote to
Correct.
remain committed. This isn't,
So these priorities are when we are developing the budget, when we are reducing the budget, these are the priorities that we try to hold true to throughout the budget process. Oftentimes, though, there are times when the school committee is not able to, adhere to their budget priorities as a result of difficult.
That's what I was
budget
wondering,
funding.
like, you
Yeah.
know, the vote is symbolic and commits us, even if we can't always accomplish all the goals. Okay, then if there are no questions, I will take a motion to approve the FY '27 budget priorities as previously agreed on by this committee.
So moved?
Moved by Joan,
Second?
second by Kristen. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Also in the packet is the FY '27 budget calendar, so it's a running record of key budget milestones and upcoming dates. So thank you to Cheryl Lepre, who maintains this document. And then lastly, this evening, we're pleased to share with the committee the FY '27 preliminary budget presentation. The budget process starts early in August, preparing for the budget season, making sure that all of our directors and principals have the appropriate information. The month of September and early October is really where principals and directors submit their budget requests to the finance department. And Becky and her team take all of those requests to generate the first draft of the budget, which we call the preliminary budget. So this evening we'll present that information to you. But I will share that we are anticipating it being a difficult budget year. There are a lot of outside pressures that we are facing. And this preliminary budget serves as a first draft. The school committee and operational budget subcommittee meeting does have a meeting scheduled November 17th, where we can start talking about strategy and what we're trying to accomplish. And at that meeting, we'll have more information and more detail to share. But the purpose of this evening is just to give you a high-level overview of where we're at with the preliminary budget. And I'll turn it over to Becky.
Okay. All right, so this is our kickoff for the FY '27 budget process. And if you want to go to the next slide, and really when we begin the process, we are looking at both the portrait of a graduate, we're looking at the district's core values as well as our mission. And those are always in the back of our mind as we are formulating all of our requests that we put forward into the budget. I would also say the other thing, that document that we use as a guide is the action plan, looking at the Vision 2026, where we stand, what progress we have made, and then what progress we still have to make towards that plan. And so that really helps to formulate our decision-making when we are putting forward requests for new items or for new programs. As Greg mentioned, the fiscal year 2027 budget process did start in August, and that started really in working with the town on the financial trend monitoring meeting. If you recall, we were asked at that meeting to prepare two budget scenarios. One would be a level services budget, and then one would also be a level funding budget. And so that was a very interesting exercise for us to do along with the other town departments. Continuing on through the upcoming months, the departments were given and the principals were given spreadsheets and budget worksheets that they could complete. This really is their chance to look at their buildings and make requests and any sort of changes to their funding mechanism through their goals and also their priorities. And then in November, here we are with our preliminary budget presentation. You've just approved the budget priorities and you've also approved the capital plan. So those are the things that we hope to accomplish tonight. And then that process does continue on over the next few months, where we're refining it, ultimately getting to a superintendent's recommended budget in January or February with an approved school committee vote. That would then go to the public hearing in March and then ultimately to the town meeting in April. We also thought it would be helpful for the committee to see some of the enrollment trends and some of the demographics of the student body for Northborough. As you can see, really the enrollment trends, we are staying relatively Stable, however, after a dip, I'd say in 2021, we're seeing our enrollment numbers go back up ever so slightly. And for FY '26, or as of October 1st, I would say, there was only a 3-student difference between the 2024 number and what we reported on October 1st. I think you'll also notice that our demographics are changing in terms of our ethnicity, where we are seeing some of the different groups in terms of Asian, Hispanic, Latino, and then multi-race. Those we are seeing increases, and we're seeing our white population decrease as well. And then our special needs groups really are remaining constant. For the previous 3 years, there really has not been much of a change in those areas. This graph, I think, is also helpful because it does show the previous 10 years of enrollment as well as projections for enrollment over the next 10 years. And this is based off that NASDAQ report that Greg spoke about earlier. So that line in the middle represents this year, that black line. Down at the bottom, the blue line is actually our middle school students. The middle line, which is a light green line, is our high school population, and then the top line represents our elementary students. So again, we're not seeing much of a change. However, in the future, there will be a little bit of a bubble, so we will be seeing some increased enrollments. The other thing that I just wanted to point out is the commitment to education that the town of Northborough has, and that's evidenced in some of the metrics that we see. This year, we're pleased to say that the Proctor School was recognized as a school of recognition by DESE and U.S. News and World Report. They were one of 55 schools in the state to be recognized among other elementary, middle, high schools, charter schools, and vocational schools. So it really is an honor that they should be proud of. And then also Algonquin, once again, was recognized by U.S. News and World Report as being the number 14 school in Massachusetts and the number 1 school in the Worcester metro region. So again, I think that the commitment that Northborough has made to education really shows in those metrics. Those priorities do fit into the district core values. The first, educator learning and leadership. We do have a goal to either create 2 assistant principal positions or counselor positions to support the elementary schools. Equity of opportunity, where we are continuing to support culturally responsive classroom practices, and then our empowering learners, where we would create an additional math specialist position. Last year, the committee had done that already, and so the priority is to have a second, and then also to implement an updated science curriculum at the middle school, and Mrs. Carb had actually talked about that in her presentation. Also for priorities, looking at healthy and balanced learners, so we are continuing to implement the comprehensive health and physical education standards. And then for finance and operations, we have a couple of goals to implement and expand safety and security measures, and then also to maintain safe, functional, and visually appealing school buildings. So moving on now to the final budget numbers. It's always nice to look back at the prior fiscal years to see where we were. So in FY25, we did have a 3.99% increase. It was a level services budget with a few areas of growth. We did have curriculum resources that were dedicated to the middle school in both ELA and math in that fiscal year. We also implemented an SEL curriculum, the strings program, as well as 2 math interventionists at the elementary schools. In FY '26, it was a 2.99% increase. Again, a level services. However, we were able to bring in new mathematics curriculum resources at the elementary school level, as well as a math specialist to support that work. And now for FY '27, at this point, the preliminary requests represent an 11.23% increase over fiscal year '26. Some of the areas that are included in this budget are science curriculum resources for the middle school, as well as replacement for our technology devices. Many of our devices were purchased during COVID, and it's hard to believe that that was 5 to 6 years ago. So it is time to really look at that replacement schedule. So I would say that there are really 5 key drivers in this budget. First is special education, and the 2 areas in special education would be out-of-district tuitions and collaboratives, as well as the special education transportation. We are also looking at a reduction of grants at the federal level, and we are trying to be planful and make sure that we are including some of the activities that are supported by those grants in this budget. Salaries, as you know, we just ratified our Unit A contract tonight. We still have 2 other associations that we will be working with, and so those salaries are ones that we're looking at. Substitutes, we have done an in-depth review of our substitutes. We've been tracking the long-term subs over the past couple of years, so we have better data around that, and we've also looked at comparison data. And so we are looking at an increase in both our long-term substitute as well as our short-term substitute rate, which therefore impacts our budget. And then lastly, the curriculum materials. So the science materials, we're also looking at the continuation of the math materials at both the middle school and the elementary schools. So also when we're building the budget, we're always looking at what 1% of a budget increase represents. So the FY '26 appropriated budget was $29,989,942. So our 1% increase is just under $300,000. It was $299,899. So when we first had our initial requests from the departments and from the schools, you can see that the budget was actually a 13.73% increase, which was just about a $4.1 million increase over fiscal year '26. The next step that we took was to apply some of our offsets that we customarily apply right off the bat. And those are, first, the circuit breaker special education reimbursement, that is for tuitions. You will notice that this year, we did receive $475,491. That is a difference of $880,000 from FY '25. The reason for that is we did have a number of students who aged out over the past year, so our special education costs last year were not as high as they were in the previous year. Unfortunately, we did have new students who were reevaluated and did require outplacements late in the spring of last year, and so now unfortunately, our reimbursement is not matching what our actual costs are for this year. We also received special education transportation reimbursement in the amount of $190,000. That's actually an increase over FY '26. The state has now, with the Student Opportunity Act, is now funding that at 75%. So we are seeing an increase in that. And then we had also received money at the very end of FY '25 from the state, which was a supplemental budget in the amount of $81,188 for transportation. That again got us to that 75% in FY '25 that we plan to apply. So overall, we have about $747,000 that we can apply through the circuit breaker funding.
Is 81 81,188 and then 81,188, is that an increase?
It was
Yes,
0
'cause
the year
we-
before.
So it was 0
Mhm.
to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So once we apply the circuit breaker funds, that does get our budget down to 11.23%, which is a $33,359,167 dollar budget. So there are a few areas really that are driving this budget, and I have shared those cost areas with you. They are sorted by the largest percent increase over FY '26. So the first, as I mentioned, is the special education out of district. That is a 623.8% increase.
Hold on, sorry, you're gonna have to do that one more time. I hope everyone's listening.
Yes.
Sorry, can you do that one more
So
time?
Special education out of district tuition is a 623.8% increase over fiscal year '26. Which it's a large percentage, but it's $618,595.
Right, but that
Still at
is
2%.
essentially 2%, correct? Thank you
Yes,
for
it is.
calling that out.
It is. The next one is substitute long-term, and that is a 620% increase. So we are proposing an increase of $155,000 over FY '26. The next is special education collaboratives, and that is a 375.5% increase, which is $403,000. Next is our classroom instructional technology, which is a 182.36% increase, or $91,000. The instructional materials, and those are some of the materials related to the science curriculum and our math curriculum, and that is just about a 44% increase, or $47,000. We also have special education transportation, which is a 40.81% increase, or $311,000. Maintenance of buildings is a 30% increase, or $37,000. And the reason for that increase is last year, as part of our budget process, we did allocate some of the expenses in this year's budget to our facility rental account, and we are unable to sustain that for next year. So that is why we have restored those lines for FY '27. And then lastly, we are seeing an increase in our heating costs, so that is a 16% increase, or $31,000. So those line items are really substantially driving our budget. So just as a final reminder about where our preliminary budget is, so it is at $33,359,167, which is an increase of $3.3 million over FY '26, or 11.23%. So in terms of next steps, we will have our meeting in 2 weeks to talk about our next steps in terms of the revised preliminary budget that will be presented in December. And then the following night, we will be meeting with the Northborough Financial Planning Committee to review the capital requests that the school district will be presenting to the town. And that concludes the budget presentation.
Thank you. Questions from the committee?
Have you gotten any guidance as to where you need to be from the town?
So
And-
we've had some initial conversations and said a 3%.
Okay.
So we're a ways away from 3%. And I think that we have a lot of work to do internally to sharpen our pencils and think about how to make sure that we're positively impacting student experiences in the classroom and bringing forth a fiscally responsible budget that fits within the town's constraints that it does have.
Sure, yeah, no, and thank you for the presentation and the explanations, because it helps me follow. If I was just looking at the slide, when I was just looking at the packet, I was like, I don't know. But your explanations are clear, and I would be freaking out, except I've been here for 2 years and seen what you guys do and how responsible you are, and that it starts, okay, let's get everything, what do we need, and then you work on it, and you guys do great work with the budget and are always very responsible and very mindful of highest student experience with, let's be good fiscal managers, and you've always done an excellent job in that, so that is why I'm not freaking out right now. But yeah, those are scary numbers. And yeah, that I know you will be able to come back with and figure out, but good luck to you. And that's not.
John?
Okay, I'm not freaking out, but I'm alarmed. So I hope it's down a little bit. Because when I look at the last slide that you gave to us, which are the significant increases for the preliminary budget, I mean, there's nothing we have to pay those fees for the special education out of district, right? So there isn't anything we can whittle down from that. And even the substitutes, special education collaborative, those are things that we're mandated to pay for, okay? And there's nothing we can do. And even if we're just at the first quarter of our school year, not saying that there could not be a move-in or there could not be somebody who has to have that out-of-district placement, so that one can still go up. Is there any way to share that, Greg, with Stephanie Bacon, the town administrator, or through the selectmen, just to give them a heads up what we're dealing with? I was looking to see you mentioned, Becky, when we talked to the town, the financial boards. But is there any way to give them a heads up of what we're facing?
I think it's too soon. I think this is our preliminary budget, a draft, and now internally, we need to spend some time looking at our numbers, looking at options, and then meeting with the committee and sharpening our pencils and talking about the options and what the impacts would be to get to a 3%. And making sure we're clear around, again, to get to that number, here's the impact that potentially it could have on our programming for kids. So it's too early.
Okay.
I will share that, although I appreciate, we have a lot of time ahead of us to get this budget to where it needs to be, but I don't want to underestimate that this feels like a more significant challenge than in prior years. This feels different, and it's primarily because of the offset of circuit breaker that we don't have, where we've had it in prior years. So we have our work ahead of us, and I'm confident we'll get to where we need to be, and we'll have a lot of meetings to discuss pathways and making sure that we get to a budget that you folks could support.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've started higher at this point, but I'm not sure we've had to come down as far or with as many obstacles in our way.
We still have
So,
a lot of work to do.
yeah.
There are a lot of things that we haven't really, I'd say, dug into yet.
Yeah.
And then we always keep an eye on that January 15th date too, for when we learn about, any other retirements or leaves of absence, so.
Yeah, there are always certain
yes.
dominoes still yet to fall.
Exactly.
And I'll just echo from what Kristen said, you guys always do a tremendous job with this. So no doubt in my mind that you'll do the same this year. Okay. School committee member reports, starting down at the end.
Okay, certainly. The Wellness Committee met yesterday. I wasn't able to attend because I was at work, but they reviewed their goals and mission, reviewed, their purpose, discussed the wellness policy, which also came up in the policy subcommittee that I'll let Lauren talk about since she was running the meeting. But that was the policy that was discussed in the policy subcommittee, and then also yesterday in the Wellness Committee, where they sort of revised some of the wording and talked about mostly in having to do with what food is allowed in the schools when and whether that will change. And so they're revising some language in there, and they're looking to ways to raise physical activity in the schools during the school day. for example, increasing or spreading the idea of brain breaks that Milliken has, that not all the schools have. So they've been working on that.
We had the Peasley Building Committee meeting last night, which basically reviewed Joan's thing. So our next meeting is in December, but I unfortunately can't go because I have.
We get it, you'll be in Florida.
I'll be in Florida.
Send pictures.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's plugging along.
Okay, Joan?
Oh, one other thing, next week, I will be at the MASC conference on Friday. I'm not able to go earlier in the week, but I will be there Friday. I will be doing there's a couple seminar thingies earlier in the day, and then I will be the delegate, Friday late afternoon to the evening, and then Friday night, we'll be celebrating Jody
Thank you.
for her fabulous recognition. So, that's all.
Okay. Joan?
Tagging on to Kelly, I'd like to see the application that you guys filled out, those questions, because I have the blank one at home when you submitted my name.
Oh, you want my response? You
Yes,
wanna
I
know?
like to know what you said
All
about
right.
me. There could be, it could go either way, so.
All right, I'll see if I can dig
Okay,
something up.
send it
Hey,
to
you
me.
won, Joan, so
What?
it's all good things.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won.
Yeah.
I know. So I'd like to thank the committee for that honor. It's going to be, it's really nice to be honored with this. I repeated that word. But to be recognized by the committee, because I think that's the most important, is that when you, by your peers, I think, on the school committee. So I'd like to thank each of you for doing that. I really appreciate it. I have 4 reports because, first of all, since we talked about the budget with special ed, following in the footsteps of Kelly, who has been our great representative to NSPAC, I'm now taking over that role, and our meeting was on October the 15th. Prior to that, I attended with my husband, see we do everything together now, Titan Games, I get into everything, which was October the 3rd on the Algonquin football field. It was a great day, great sunny day. The enthusiasm was just so unbelievable for everybody, and I think Sean Bevan had even some of the classes come to cheer the students on, which was really great. The faces of the kids that were even third in the running, they didn't give up until they got to the end. It was just wonderful. And also, I'd like to thank, I found out that the Scott Charpentier and also the DPW put up the white pop-up tents. So I'd like to thank them. It's nice to see where the town works together on all these initiatives. There is going to be a parent survey that's going to be distributed soon. From the summer program, there was a survey feedback. It did go out the 3rd week in September. 800 were sent out to families. There were 71 responses. But the 71 responses that came back were very positive. If 60% agreed that their concerns or input was heard, 27% were neutral, and only 8% were negative. They mentioned the teachers were very easy to contact. They had hired 75 staff, which consisted of 50 internal staff members and 25 external. If there were any transportation concerns, they were resolved.
Wonderful.
See? And for the ESY preschool, the 3-year-olds, there were 35 students. Our next meeting is going to be December the 10th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the superintendent's office. The other one I'm serving on is the Northborough Council of Aging, and that meeting is going to be November 18th at 5:30. The other thing I'd like to mention is Snow Day. This is from the NEF. The NEF is having a drawing. They heard about this initiative from another school. I think it was Ashland. And what it's going to be is that parents can pay $10 for a ticket or $3 for $20, and you can win the ultimate prize, which is a chance to announce the first snow day from the Northborough Public and Southborough schools. The winner will create a recorded message. I hope Greg knows about this. With this, if not, he's doing it with the superintendent, and it will be a pre-recorded message that will be ready to go. So it could be a student, it could be a class, it could be a group of kids, and they're going to pre-record the snow day cancellation, and Greg will play it back for the parents to hear, however he does that. So when it's going to be, the winning person is going to be drawn on November 19th. The winner will be selected at the regional school committee meeting. And I'd like to also thank, besides the DPW, I found out this week, I think we have a lot of silent community members that are helping, but I found out this week, as Becky stated in her thing, the commitment to education, is the Rotary Club on Friday supplies food to families that need it. And they put it in this black nylon string bag. And then Monday morning, the kids return the empty bag, and then they give it to the Rotary. So we have a lot of, I love the community engagement into all these things. I also attended the LPAC, which is English Learners Parent Meeting on October 16th. To get the people to come in, they offer babysitting and pizza for parents. So back into the conference room, they had babysitting for parents that had to bring their kids. Their overview on the LPAC is to support success of multilingual learners, build collaborative partnerships between school, family, and community, and provide support, guidance, and resources for all multilingual families. In the multilingual summer program, there were 72 students. So what they did with, there was probably about 20 parents and students were there. They separated them, and they wanted them to brainstorm to find interest of what the families need. And what came back was that they need information on athletics, sports, and after-school activities that could be offered by the town and the YMCA. I talked to Michelle before this because I said to her, there must have been middle school kids there, and one of their concerns was that they need more food, and that they ran out of dumplings. And so I was talking to Michelle. I said, what is this? And she says it is one of the hottest items when they have the dumplings. So you can see where these kids are. We've got to feed them with their dumplings. The day after that, I said, well, I'm going to go down because it's recreation, sports that these parents want more information on. And this was a find. I went down to the town of Northborough, went to the recreation department and said, okay, what do they have here that the parents could do and that the kids could do? And I was thinking it was going to be like the town basketball, just that type of thing. Well, there was a load of information that was there, and these are some of the after-school programs that they offer through the recreation department. And when I talked about what it was, Allie Lane, who's the recreation director, wasn't there at the time, is that what I found out is that through the rec department, and I went, some of these cost of these after-school activities are $300, $400. I said, this is not gonna work. But in talking to them, they have, the rec department of Northborough has a scholarship fund, and they'll pay up to $400 per child. And parents just have to apply for it. But they don't give the full cost of the program, because they figured if they pay the full cost of a program after school, if it's an activity, a craft, something, that maybe they want the parents to pay something. So they'll pay up from 50 to 75% of the cost of the activity. And they also mentioned, when I did talk to Allie, she gave me a call back, is that there is a town sports program, and it also offers financial assistance. So Allie was excited, and she asked if she could come to the next LPAC meeting, which is going to be on December the 11th, 6:30 to 8 at the library. So Allie is going to be there, and she's bringing all the information to share with the parents of these activities that the town has, which was one of their needs. So I thought that was another great communication and collaboration with the town. And then the last thing was, I think we all saw it, is Z School was featured in Channel 5's Wake Up Call. Of course, I was sleeping, so I didn't get to see it. But Z School was on there, and I think that was a great thing. It was, they visit on Z School on September 30th. So it was great to see the thumbs up by the kids, and their first time, maybe on TV. So that is the end of my report.
Thank you. So the policy subcommittee met, and Kristen and I were there. We did a lot of work, so you'll see these policies come through in December, at least some of them. So a few wellness policies, so the wellness policy, the athletic concussion policy, as well as school immunization requirements. Also, teaching of controversial issues was the first policy we discussed. And then there are two new policies. The first is a middle school pathway exploration policy for Northborough and Southborough. Another one is for the region, so it's the competency determination policy, now that MCAS is no longer a requirement for graduation. And I forget, did we talk about school enrollment?
We
don't
talked
think
about it, but we didn't get to,
quite get
we
to
didn't
the
get that.
policy. Okay, so we sort of ran out of time because we had quite a few policies to discuss. So we do have some more work, but some of those policies will be coming for a first read in our December meeting, which is going to be a long one for us. It's our double meeting that Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month in December. Also, I was able to go to the Northborough Library's book talk on the anxious generation. So Dr. Coakley was there, as well as several Peasley educators. So it was just a really great discussion. If you haven't read the book, highly recommend it. The audiobook version is also very good as well. And many of the Peasley educators there were saying, you know, this is great. We're so happy that we're all here, but like, where is everyone else? You know, we want every single person on this planet to read this book. It's so eye-opening. So I highly recommend it. It's a pretty quick read. That's me.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay.
Nope,
Bryce,
Joan,
I have a
nope,
question.
Joan, you already had your turn.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
No, please, proceed.
Greg, wasn't The Anxious Generation, the book, wasn't that one a couple years ago that the teachers did a book study on?
I think throughout the district, there have been schools who've used it as a book study, but I think that was in Southborough. There were some principals who used the book as a principal study, but I think this is the first year that we've used the text in Northborough.
And I know it's still on the New York Times bestseller list. I mean, I'm surprised after, I think it's 2 years, has it been in print? And it's still up there, so
Yeah.
it's a good book. Thank you.
Okay, communications, none at this time. We do have a lot of action on minutes, though.
I'm ready. I can do this.
Okay.
Go.
All right.
Go.
All right, everyone, you ready for this? All right, I move to approve the special open meeting minutes of September 22nd, 2025, the open meeting minutes of September 29th, 2025, the Northborough South,
I think that's right.
the Northborough,
Northborough School Committee, it's just twice.
the Northborough School Committee.
And the Northborough School Committee Collective Bargaining
Thank
Subcommittee.
you. Oh, I see. The Northborough School Committee and the Northborough School Committee Collective Bargaining Subcommittee joint special open meeting minutes of October 4th, 2025. And to vote, and I move to approve and retain the executive session minutes of September 29th, 2025, and the Northborough School Committee / Northborough School Committee Collective Bargaining Subcommittee Executive Session Minutes of October 4th, 2025.
Moved by Lauren,
Second.
second by Joan.
Can you reread that?
That was fantastic. All those in favor? All right, that is unanimous, approved on all five. Nice
Give her a drink of
work.
water on that one.
Nice work. Okay, moving on to future agenda items. We've got outdoor learning space discussion. Do you have items that will come?
Yes, so I'll work with you, Bryce, and we'll determine what items. We do have the revised preliminary budget presentation, which will be a significant presentation as well. And I think also look at our schedule of who's presenting when this year.
Okay,
For content areas. I think
Okay.
there is a department that will be presenting in December.
okay. And we had mentioned maybe on those outdoor learning spaces, putting the opportunity for other community groups within Northborough to maybe provide or give advice. So if the Northborough Trails group is willing to share some resources, that there were opportunities for us to explore those as well, not just physically adjusting a school property.
And as part of, I don't know if it's as part of that discussion, before, after, sometimes, not every year, we do have visits to certain schools, so that might be part of our discussion as well. Usually it's in line with the capital improvement plan, but we just
Getting
solidified
us
that.
out to,
Yeah.
Right, to
Yep.
see
Our
some of the
annual
existing
tours.
spaces or where there could be potential opportunity.
okay, and, Kelly?
Usually we do the MASC update from the conference and stuff, but I won't be here at the December meeting. So I don't know if you want to put it in January or if somebody else wants to. Kristen?
We'll put it in January and wait for you to come back. Yeah. Lauren and I had talked about the possibility of, we've aired out several different times, different iterations of us being available publicly to the community. And so Lauren and I were thinking of November 18th, but having 2 shifts. One be available maybe late morning or early afternoon, and then another one later into the evening to service folks who need to get to us after 5 p.m. I'll send an email just asking for folks to kind of pick one of those timeframes. And then Lauren and I will talk about location for both the day and evening, because I don't know if those will be the same place or,
Yeah, maybe a local coffee shop.
well, that'll work for the day. I wonder what the evening
Yeah.
one would look
What was
like.
the evening time you were saying?
Just after 5 to make it
Yeah.
accessible for folks who are, working during those hours.
And what time would it be, the day one?
Probably like late morning, maybe 10:30, 11.
I can do that one.
Okay.
That'd be great. Sign me up.
And we would try and split the groups up. So maybe Lauren would be at the evening, or I'd be in the morning, and then a spread of the rest of us.
We cannot have a quorum, so there can only be max of 2 people.
Okay,
per
thank you.
Okay.
That's right. Yep.
And then do we take, well, you'll give us more information, but do we take notes? This is just intake of things. We're not going to be saying, yes, that can be solved or something like that.
No, I think the best path forward is listening, right?
Listening
And
session.
note-taking, and then bringing those anecdotes back to the group for us to feel like there's some, aggregate action that the community may or may not be looking forward in any certain direction.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think, having a more like relaxed environment for people to talk to school committee, they don't need, we don't need their name on record. But if someone's talking to you about something, just making sure you can bring that
Subject matter
information
back.
back to
Yep.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any other future agenda items? Okay. Approval of bills and payrolls. We're doing all right there? I saw you beat me the other day. I was like, how did
Yeah, I
that
did.
even happen?
Did you see the second one yesterday?
I thought I did.
Okay, all right, I wasn't sure.
I don't
You
know if
probably
you
Well,
did.
did I see it and not respond?
I don't know if you did the
That
second one.
might have
It
happened.
came in like
Yeah,
right after
If I
the
had
first.
responded, she wouldn't be asking me.
Yeah.
No, I have not logged in yet. to
I,
see.
usually I get an update when it's finished, but I don't remember getting an update.
Yep, there it is.
saying
No, I
it's
haven't opened it.
Okay, all right, okay.
I will get on that. Okay, then I will open it up again to any audience sharing. Seeing none, I will take a motion
Motion to adjourn?
to adjourn at 6:23. So moved-
6:23.
Sorry, 8:23.
Do you need my spectacles?
Not yet.
Okay.
So moved by Kelly,
Second.
second by Joan. All those in favor? And we are adjourned at 8:23. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I caved the